I'm gonna go over how I structure my trading and how I go about trading either new accounts and pretty much my thought process on taking entries on the higher time frame, taking higher risk reward trades. So I'll go over the two shorts that I did take. There's a lot of lines here, my bad. The two shorts I took on my fresh Top Step 150s, 100Ks. 1 second. Why am I getting larped? Okay, I took 3. There was a short over here, but I'll go over. This was a break even, pretty much got closed out like for like $100-$200 loss. But this short and then this short. So yeah, pretty much been on these accounts 2 days. And yeah, all right. Let's chart this on here. So always start on the daily time frame if you don't know what's going on the daily. I'm gonna just restart this completely, right? So after this big daily push out, honestly, my overall, yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch, is this weekly, just because we've been rejecting all-time highs a little bit here. Rejected, didn't take it, and then started just creating this bear structure. So what I really want to target is at least, my low-hanging fruit would be down back to this low, right? It would be a discounted area of liquidity, right? So on the daily time frame, we do have this daily gap, right? Scaling down to the 4-hour. All right, look at the 4-hour. We'll mark out our opening price. 6 p.m. opening price is right here. All right, and this is how you kind of have to look at price, right? So I did initially take my first short out of this 4-hour flip down, right? We did take out this high going right at open. Look at the 5-minute. Here, I'm gonna mark out the opening price is right here. Right, opening, we came down here, failed to take the high and shot down lower. Right, so this is where I took my short. Well, this is what I took past the accounts. Took this down to here. And then I did try again another short out of OTE of this leg, where it was 0.5. Might have been this leg. Yeah, it was this leg. Shorted here again, and it was pretty tight, but I was going for something like this, and it didn't end up running. Made sense because before I already rejected out of that area, and yeah, I just gave it a stab. It was I'm pretty sure it was this first tap or whatever it came down, but wasn't super insane trade, but I just gave it a stab with light risk, super high R, that I started getting all the way back down here. Same idea as this one, but this one had a little bit more structure, and we had fully tapped the CE of this daily gap. We dug a little deeper into the gap. Yeah, we did tap it here the first time, but we only tapped into it a little bit, didn't come too far in. And then using our fib, watching this here, actually watching this leg, since we did mitigate this 4-hour inverse BPR here. All right, so we are technically an OTE of this range, and we also did tap OTE right here, our 0.618, and then this one we did come up higher into the daily gap, CE of it. So going into the morning, after I did get stopped, I just closed the chart. So I was like, all right, Nurik's probably gonna deliver us lower, and I want to see us be above true day open for me to take some shorts. And where is true day open? Is this midnight opening price? Right, midnight opening price. What does that mean? It means that we're back into premium of this range, right? Meaning we are looking for shorts, right? You don't want to be longing at the top of the range. What do you want to be doing? You want to be shorting back down to the bottom, back down into EQ of this range. And if you look here, right, this range right here is pretty overextended here, right? We had just pumped up super aggressively. So scaling into the morning, what did I see? I saw this 4 hour right here. What do? We had this 4 hour that opened up at 2 a.m. So our London open high, our London high here. Into the morning, into the morning I saw at news, so this is data high, right? Saw people talking about this data high as a draw. Hell no, that's not a good draw, right? Why? What happened with this data high? We came up, took out the 4 hour high, and now what are we gonna do? What's aligned with this 4 hour power of 3 here, right? We're above true day open, we're above daily open, and only thing to do is at least come back down. This is our low hanging fruit, is back down to this low right here. Why? Because everything aligns here, right? Higher time frame is starting to become bearish. We're in OT of this leg down, and we want to see a rebalance lower, right? So going into the morning, I saw that this high was made, and I didn't want us to take it out, right? I'm gonna remove this just so we can see a little bit better. Saw this 5-minute wick get made, came down. I didn't take anything off the CE, but I did see us respect that, and I scaled down to the 1 minute here. Took a pretty aggressive entry on this. Sorry, bro, this is fucking annoying. All right, we tapped that. We made a high, failed to take this high, right? I'm looking at this high, and I don't want to see this high get taken, right? Come down, respect this, make a new high, come down again, failed to take this second high, and this is like my lower time frame entry. We push back out of it, and I short right here. Stop loss at this high. And honestly, right when we filled, did we take it? I think we took the body of this CPI candle. I did mitigate risk here. So I was targeting around here a little bit more than this for my profit target, because my target was EQ the range, right? And I targeted whatever I can make. So 3K for my consistency rule, and yeah, that's what I took. So I entered there. Once we started pushing back down, I did mitigate risk to this high. Didn't want to see this high get ran. And once open happened, I did keep my stop here. Why? Because if I looked at the 15-minute, super high in this range. Looking at the 15-minute, what do we have here? We have our 15-minute gap that can get ran through. And also looking at this little leg, we can see us tap OTE right here. So I don't really want us to come all the way back to this little high. And once we do displace at open, I do end up mitigating risk to break even. And risk on this was actually really tight. Only risked like 500 and made around 3K. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'll look at the. Let me look at the exact entry I took here, so I can show y'all. 30,201. Actually got a farther downfill then. Right here. Stops here. Closed out at 29,872. 29,872 is right here, pretty much. So around 4R-ish on this. Once I did mitigate, it was like 7 or whatever. So yeah, it was like 500 risk for around 3.6-ish made. Yeah, not a bad, actually fucking a beautiful trade. Once I saw open, and I knew open was gonna just open us somewhere in this area, so I did just keep my risk around here or here. I didn't want these highs getting ran through. I wanted to just continue and make a new high, and that's exactly what we did. We opened price, came here, didn't take any of these, tapped the 15-minute gap, and distributed the opposite way, right? Above these opening prices, meaning we're super premium, so we want to see those shorts, and that's exactly what happened, and took around 3.7-ish R on that, right? So going into the next trade, I took the same day. Here's execution. Pretty insane. Caught like 500 points on this. Got in at like 7 p.m. And I'll go over this trade as well. So once again, we did dump here initially that same morning going into Asia session. I honestly wasn't expecting anything in Asia until I saw the opening price. And what were my draws? My draws are still lower. Right, what are we delivering out of? We did open up this 4-hour gap from the morning, and this is our range, right? New York session, what did New York session do? We just consolidated and make these low resistance liquidity. And I was looking for shorts. I wasn't looking for longs back into rebalance this, because what were we at? Already at OT, right? We tapped OT, rejected, and I saw this as our 4-hour high that was made. That's exactly what it was, right? So going here, marked out that 4-hour high. We took out that high right before. Is this before open? Let me check. One sec. Right. Yeah, right before open, we take this high out, and we instantly. Where's open? Open's over here. Open is right here, yeah. Right before open, we take out this 4-hour high. Inside this 4-hour gap, overall narrative is bearish, and we distribute the opposite way, right? What are we doing in at this time? At 6 p.m. open, we open lower, take out this low, and I saw this low, we rejected it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. We made a new low, and we flipped the opposite way. But I saw this as we're not really delivering from anything higher time frame at all, right? So I saw this whole move up as manipulation, and I didn't think that this leg up is gonna send us all the way back up to deeper into this range, right? So was on the 15-minute time frame. Saw this huge wick, and it scaled to the 5-minute. Saw this huge wick again, and opened the charts at a really good time. Had this 5-minute rejection block marked out. Why is that the rejection block? Because it's the 4-hour. If you look at the 4-hour, right, we close the 4-hour. Let me show you the 4-hour. 4-hour closes at, new 4-hour opens at 6 p.m., right? What do? We open down, take out this low, flip aggressively for no reason. So I see that as like, all right, we're opening higher, and this is going to be the high of the 4-hour candle. And if it's in a protected area, then we should make a new high there, right? And that's exactly where it was, a protected area. And it was this high that was made in this 4-hour gap. I didn't see a reason for us to resweep that high. Also, what have we done? We already swept this high, and then we reswept the high again. Like, there's no reason for us to come create another high, right? So what I want to see us start doing is go into this sell order, right? And just continue this 4-hour PO3, right? We opened higher here, came above opening price, came into this rejection block, right? And I saw this high. I was like, all right, if this high is not going to get met, and we're going to create a new 4-hour high here, we're going to distribute the opposite way. And that's exactly what I did. I shorted. Once we started, I didn't short right off the rejection block. I don't usually limit anything, but once I saw stalling here, and we get this candle push here, and then we push back up, and then we started pushing back down. This is just discretional entry, whatever. I was like, all right, we're stalling. Boom, come down. I was like, all right, wait. We put another push up, closing above that candle, and then we push back down again. I was like, all right, this is my entry. This is just like I've seen this type of low consolidation stall here, and then I just entered out of push out of this, and I think 857. Let's see. Yeah, so I entered right when we're pushing out. I'm pretty sure. I'll actually look for you. Yeah, this candle. Exactly what I said. Once we made this new candle up, and then I was like, all right, if we're gonna actually take this high, we'll probably just run straight here, right? But no, we stalled, came down, and boom, we pushed out. 857 was my fill. Stop loss was above here. Was risking around $500 once again, and we're above this opening price. Once we did come back down to this opening price, I was like, all right, in a bullish scenario, where are we? We come into EQ of this range, we come to OT of this range. If we are going to be bullish, right, this is going to hold and we're going to rip back up. So that's when I did end up going break even. Actually, I did go break even slightly early once we did get a strong close here, but once I saw us like tap this area, I was like 100%. I was starting to be a little bit more confident in my trade. I was fully break even on this, and I was watching. I was like, all right, now I just have to do is hold this, right? I think I did, once we pushed here, I moved stops to this. That's what happened. And then once we did come to the opening price and OTE and EQ, that's when I fully mitigated risk to break even, right? And that's when I was like, what are my draws lower? I already had my draws lower, and it was right here. And these areas of low resistance liquidity. Entered there, stops above there, and I ended up taking all out around here. Let me show you the exact exit. Was in this trade for a while. 356. There you go. That's my exact exit, and this hit before midnight open, so that was really nice. And then after these draws were taken, I was expecting us to, just do what we have been doing, reject this area that we've been rejecting. We've been rejecting these 4-hour lows, and then we came back into EQ, and made sense for New York to just chop and then push back into EQ. The only thing I would see at New York is probably take some rejection play here. It's actually a really good play. This low, be protected. Here, target back into EQ this range. That's actually a fucking great trade. But I'll remove these lows. And also, if you want to see midnight open is right here. So we come below midnight open at open, boom, tap into discounted area. If you want to see, we're probably super deep into this 0.79. If this low is going to be protected, flip, go higher. Saw a couple people online take those trades, but I wouldn't mind that trade. That'd be like the only type of trade, and I wouldn't take anything up here. Definitely take some sort of limit down in this area. When you're trading in a range like this, it's the only type of way you should be able to take a trade. The only way to take a trade is playing the range like that. But yeah, if you also look at the 1 hour, we already swept this out, created, this is technically your rejection block. Since we rejected, came out, failed to take the low, also rejecting at a higher time frame 4-hour gap. Or is it might be a daily or hourly? It's hourly. I swear there was like some sort of PD array right here. Yeah, I mean there's a fat OB right here. Rejecting out of that. And just an area of rejection that we've been rejecting, right? We rejected here, rejected here. We're also technically still in this area. And if you do look at the highest time frame, you can say we're deep into this discounted range, right? We're an OTE of this higher time frame leg, so you can expect us to rebalance and stall at this area. And until we break these lows, then you want to see continuation. But from here, you don't want to be shorting this deep into the bottom of the range. right? You want to short here, short up here, right? Maybe short like in the middle of this range, or short here, catch a continuation here, down to here, but you don't want to be shorting all the way down here. And then, yeah, those are the two really good executions I took on these two accounts. One in one in Asia here. Did end up taking some small loss here. And yeah, bang, bang. Great trades, right? That's pretty much how I go about looking at these trades and how I think about them. You know, if this is going to be our high, then I'm going to position myself accordingly to that, right? And yeah, it's how you catch bigger moves, having these narratives and having all these confluences of, you know, this is happening. You just need to react to it pretty quickly. If not, you know, you're going to have to catch a continuation. And honestly, I haven't really been liking catching any sort of continuation. I guess this is continuation, but I've just been liking playing the top of a range and just taking shorts really deep into or taking shorts like in premium, longs, and discount. And that's all I've been really thinking about is just the 4-hour candle and where we're opening up into. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. But it's a pretty quick breakdown on those two trades.